Hello friends, this is J.R. Kofer of Gospel of Health, and we are back again. We had to interrupt our last streaming session while I was driving into the city because I drove into a car park and I know I was going to lose my signal. But I'm driving down again and I thought I would just kind of recapitulate a few things I said and also go a little bit further where I wanted to go, but time precluded me. Like as last time, if anyone comes on, they can always go back. I'm not going to wait for people to come on. I'm just going to say my piece and continue going on. Earlier we talked about the reality that is happening now and many people do not think about that are doing digital ministry. Everyone's jumping on Facebook and social media platforms like YouTube and so on and are posting things, whether it be conspiracy theories or errors, doctrines, whatever they may think is truth. Some people are sincerely presenting truth that they know to be so. And some have found that their YouTube channel and or their content has been pulled down or taken down or hit with some type of limitation, or their whole site has been limited. And this is going to happen more and more and more as time goes on. I remember not too long ago, a very notable Advent preacher, a doctor, gotten a lot of different issues concerning his views on the LGBTQ segment of society. And because of his statements, he got into a lot of issues with his employers and so on. A lot of attention started being directed toward the Adventist Church. The Adventist Church tried to distance themselves from him, just like they did with the whole Angus Jones thing with Forerunner. And a whole host of people started taking down videos. People started seeing what was happening with him and how much heat he was coming under. And a lot of people started taking down videos they previously did, making some very strident statements concerning the LGBTQ agenda and so on and so forth. Strangely, everyone didn't wait to get retracted. They pulled it down themselves. But we're coming into a time where we're going to realize, like I said in my previous video, that at best, what most people are doing, if not almost all people are doing in Advent ministry, is what I call digital sharecropping. Digital feudalism, where basically you don't really own anything. You're just seeded or allowed to farm a digital space, put your name there, and the majority of any benefit that comes from that page or site or whatever it is goes to the actual company, the land holders, as it were, the digital space holders, through ad revenue and so on and so forth, whether your site is monetized or not. And basically, they can pull down your site at any time, put someone else in that spot. They can limit you, they can tax you, they can do whatever they want. And basically, your content can be taken down and basically thrown in the trash can and gone. A number of different things I want to say about that, more so than I said last time. But suffice it to say this: people generally, and especially people of color, have historically found themselves on the wrong end of feudalism and or sharecropping. People of color especially have had the unfortunate situation where they don't understand nor have a good concept of or attempt to own their own God-given gifts and inventions and so on and so forth. We talked a little bit, I think I may have touched on the fact that when you look at the spirit of prophecy, God told Ellen White that he intended for her to take the words that he had given her, the vision and so on, and to publish them and copyright them, per se, to control them, and also to receive royalties. That money would come directly to her, that she could be able to help the work as she saw fit. which is what every believer, she said, should do, because it's their stewardship to use as they choose. They can send their tithe where they want to send their tithe. As long as they're not withholding their tithe from the gospel work, they can send it to wherever they believe the work is being done and is needed. They can send their offering similarly wherever they think and believe it was needed. You know, they don't have to send it all to their local church. They can send it to a number of churches, tithe or offering. Ellen White did this. She counseled others to do this. But especially when it comes to her intellectual property, she talked about the fact that she was shown very, very clearly that she and her husband were not glorifying God by eating turnips and drinking water, keeping their children in rat-infested homes, and what they believed was suffering for the work. When Ellen was spinning for a minute, okay, hopefully we're back. She died in debt, not because she didn't have the money to pay it off, but she was constantly trying to find money to forward types of ministry that were not popular or supported in her day. Template for the last days. I say all that to say this. Even in our day, we've had ministers that just died among us. I don't want to say any names because I'm not trying to be controversial. You know, not that I won't later on, but for right now, I won't say any names. But there's a notable minister that most people know who in his day thought it was in the best interest of the work and so on to basically give all of his sermon CDs to another ministry to distribute. Now, of course, the thinking of his thinking was that if he had his own ministry and made his messages available for some trivial donation, that would seem like he was making money of the gospel per se. So he basically gave the rights to all his different videos and so on, mostly his audios, I believe, to a ministry, and they turned around and sold it. And I think about the fact that this ministry that he had, or this minister, not because I believe so, because I know so, because I sat down and ate with him and talked with him, you know, this minister was traveling and preaching well into his 80s. I mean, very close until the day he died, he was traveling and preaching because the retirement sustentation, or whatever it's called, package for Adventist ministers of his era was so bad that he really had to travel to stay afloat, which is a shame. It's not biblical. But again, if he would have sold at a trivial amount his own sermons, as his other ministry did, he would have been more than fine. But he felt that it was righteous, it was better to give it to someone else to do it. I don't in any way mean to knock his sincerity, because maybe he was sincere, but based on the spirit of prophecy, God does not get the glory when we unduly give our intellectual property and ability to help our family, our wives, our children survive into the hands of others that support their families. It's just common sense. Furthermore, if you look at even the secular world, how many artists, especially black artists, people of color, have done various different recordings and songs and so on and so forth, and had no control over their music, their masters, their publishing, to the point where it was sold and resold, and these individuals died penniless, died broke, died in nursing homes for indigent people with Grammys and all kind of different accolades, did not control their own media. And these type of scenarios that are inequity should not exist among us. Where am I going with this? Again, beyond the fact that you could have all your media pulled down and thrown in a digital trash can, there's also a reality that basically when you look at the world today, especially the world within the Adventist Church, there are shifts and different things going on in the digital and practical realm that a lot of people really don't understand what's happening. What do I mean by that? let me ask you a question. If you have a ministry and you are a conference pastor paid by the conference, etc., etc., you're an Adventist minister, you're ordained, you have tenure, so on and so forth. If you had a ministry, you started a ministry, could that ministry be seen as a faithful ministry if it's not under the conference, the local conference, not under the union? Question. Because the average person would say no. You know, you need to have a church, and someone has to be a part of the conference, has to be part of, you know, the organization, and so on and so forth. But then I asked the question, well, how do you explain Amazing Facts and their recent move? Before we even go into Amazing Facts and what they did as far as their $20+ million word center, know and understand that, especially those that are watching right now that are from the state of Florida, you probably, if you were on Facebook for the last 5 years, you remember a few years back, a Adventist, probably a wealthy Adventist, more than likely, released an email he got from the Florida Conference president onto Facebook that kind of went viral. The issue was that Doug Batchelor was invited to come to Florida to do a speaking engagement, and the Florida Conference president with the conference board torpedoed it. They didn't want Doug Batchelor to come to Florida. A wealthy donor that I guess was on the movement or the group that was trying to get him to come in, talked to the conference president directly, and then through email trying to figure out what's going on. So the conference president, in this email, which he released on Facebook, this email basically said that he didn't want Doug Batchelor in Florida because Doug Batchelor was divisive. He divides congregations, and his message divides, it's not edifying, and a lot of different things. And I was like, Doug Batchelor? Is he talking about Doug Batchelor? Doug Batchelor is divisive? Doug Batchelor splitting the church, and Doug Batchelor is not the kind of message we need? And, you know, basically he talked about Doug Batchelor coming in and, you know, taking financial support from the conferences, and also taking positions that divide and not bring us together, and so on. All they were saying about Doug Batchelor. Now, of course, when this was publicly put on the internet, the one thing that conference leaders don't like, especially when they take positions that are not really sound, is exposure. So there was a lot of backtracking, and eventually Doug Batchelor was allowed to come in and do his weekend, and they ate a little humble pie, and it kind of went forward. But most people don't know that Doug Batchelor has been censored or kept out of most of your major conferences for a long time now. Ever since I was back in California in the early 2000s, Doug Batchelor was censured by the Pacific Union. He made a comment or some comments about women's ordination and LGBT pastors, women pastors, being at the forefront of that movement. And it didn't sit well in California. Churches seems bizarre, but this happened. You can go back and look at the minutes of the California Pacific Union and see that he was censured. And many other liberal-leaning conferences, and there are many in the North American division, just look at the women's ordination votes, they also found that they didn't want Doug Batchelor either. And this is why you haven't seen Doug Batchelor do a major meeting in any major city in North America, except for a little bit of stuff in the New York conference when we had a liberal leader there, a couple in the Michigan conference because they had a conservative leader in New York and Michigan. But for the most part, most of these areas that at one time Amazing Facts under Doug Batchelor and also Joe Cruz used to go to, that's why you see Amazing Facts going to the world, and they went to Jamaica, and they went to the Philippines, so on and so forth. Praise God for that. But there's a reason why. Because they were not wanted, and Amazing Facts message was too straight for the average minister in these new organizations. Imagine that. Imagine that. Doug Batchelor, of all people, to be seen as being a troublemaker. I digress. But the point is, we're getting back to this whole issue of Doug Batchelor and where's Doug Batchelor's word center? Most institutions under the Seventh-day Adventist Church are held in trust by the conference. In other words, if you have a building, media center, church, so on and so forth, usually the conference holds the deed. They're not privately held. We claim that we don't believe in congregationalism, where a congregation owns or holds the deed. But thinking people, intelligent people out there, ask yourself the question, how is it that the Amazing Facts Word Center in California has gotten a certain indulgence, if you want to call it that, to not be under the Pacific Conference or the local conference where they are in Sacramento either? How does that work? And answer the question, does the Pacific Union that is not under, or the local conference that is not under, hold the deed to that $20 million facility? Who holds the deed to that? Let's even ask the question, why is it that a number of ministries are all of a sudden getting media centers and trying to get these media centers up and running and operating them in a self-supporting way, and some of these ministries also are not turning over the deed to their local conference? How do we interpret this? Because remember, some of you, I won't say scores, but many years ago, when I first started doing ministry online, and I had Gospel of Health Media Center, and the idea of having a media center and having Sabbath worship at 11 o'clock and streaming it live and so on and so forth, I was basically the spawn or twin of the devil when I did it. What's the difference between me and Doug Batchelor? Is it just time where some things, what was sin is now righteousness now? Did the pandemic awaken people that 11 o'clock hour, you can stream live or you can hold services and so on, and it's not, of the devil? You could stream from your home or from a center, or you can have live stream or digital platforms or various different ways to spread the truth or edify people. Is that now righteousness because of the pandemic? Has the pandemic changed the way people think? I'm asking a question I want you to think about, because what people don't tend to see, we talked a little about the digital secular world, what people don't tend to see is the fact that there are shifts and moves happening within the church too. If it wasn't for the pandemic, where would we be? Where would we be? With the rate of school shootings and mall shootings and various types of gun violence that were taking place before the pandemic, where would we be as a country if that didn't get basically kind of completely calmed down by a global pandemic? All the firing of shots back and forth between the General Conference and the North American Division, the stances taken by various conferences and unions when it comes to women's ordination, the idea of ignoring what, again, air quotes, is called policy, according to Ted Wilson, that is being encouraged by conferences and unions. Where would the church have gone if this pandemic didn't come in the middle and kind of quiet down and calm down and throw some water on the fire that was women's ordination and the self-determination and the conscience of conferences and unions, divisions, and so on when it comes to some of these issues? Where would we be? So, that being said, here we are, the conferences are opening up again. COVID seems to be waning in some degree. Masks have come off, and these old situations are coming up again. Now, way before the pandemic, and even during the pandemic, what people have not noticed, some people have not noticed, is a lot of institutions that were formerly under the General Conference have voted to move under the North American Division. Oakwood was started by the General Conference in the 1800s. They voted to move under North American Division. Why? Question. Pacific Press, formerly under the General Conference, now under North American Division. Why? Why are these shifts happening, these moves where people are moving from under the control or authority of the General Conference and moving on to NAD? Or some people are moving out, like it seems Amazing Facts is, from under their local conference, local union, Pacific Union as it were, and they see themselves as being safer or better outside of that control, even if it seems like they are not under the control of their local conference, though other people doing that are called offshoots and against the church and leaving the church and all these types of narratives. It's an interesting time where what's sin for one person is not sin for another, or what seemed to be sin long ago is not sin, or things that I used to say and talk about and show from the spirit of prophecy that people were so angry about and fought tooth and nail. Suddenly these things are righteousness now. And suddenly it seems like ministries, or some ministries, seeing some handwriting on the wall that some of us are not seeing, are moving organizationally, moving digitally, creating types of digital platforms that are not under the control of local conferences, that can't be taken away from them. While others are just blindly marching down to the precipice to lose everything. They give their social media to Google and Facebook and so on and so forth, and they give their institution and so on to the conference. And when the axe drops and we really see what the strength of Zion is, which will they retain? I'm talking about before we can't buy and sell, before there is a bunch of sharp teeth in a Sunday law. There's a work still to be done, but some people are not going to be able to reach that point because they have put their trust in secular power and in spiritual power that is not going to last the storm and tempest. Storm and tempest, we're told, will sweep away the structure. Where are we putting our faith? Because it seems like notable ministries are not putting their faith in the structure. But here we are in 2022, and God is giving at least Gospel of Health, prayerfully many other ministries, opportunity to do some things different. I keep telling you I'm going to make an announcement. I'm not going to do it yet, but I'm going to make a major announcement concerning how God has opened up doors for us to be in a better position than we were previously when it comes to our digital media. I'm not talking about just having backup. I have all kind of backups of files, but I'm talking about having a digital platform where you can stand storm and tempest for much longer than if you just trusted in the arm of flesh. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we need to think very, very deeply about what's about to happen between the North American Division and General Conference. We have to think very, very deeply. We have to think and ask ourselves, why are these major ministries creating these media centers and trying to position themselves for something that they're not actually preaching about? Again, brothers and sisters, I can only share what is truth. I share it publicly because I'm not ashamed of it. I will sit down publicly on live stream and or privately and talk. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people have talked to me. That's why they won't talk to me publicly, because they know they can't support a lot of things that they teach or claim to teach about how the work is going to be finished in a public setting. They cannot do it. But I'm praying that we as a people would open our eyes to where we are and start putting ourselves in a better position. I pray that, even as Paul said, by emulation, people will see what God has done for us, and again, follow the example. Whether you love or hate me, follow the example that will keep you alive, keep your family afloat while things start to get really, really tough. Some people are so myopic, so tunnel vision in their false concepts of the mark of the beast issue that basically they're not thinking about occupying till he comes. They're so ready and so anxious to try and go into the country and hide someplace, not thinking of being able to get a message to the world, digitally, practically publishing. They're not thinking about those lines. They think, oh, it's too late. Time is up. All we can do is run to the country and hide. Where do you see that in the spirit of prophecy? Interestingly enough, the people that are saying that have digital platforms. If that was true, are they in the country hiding? They're definitely not doing it with high-speed internet. How are they streaming in HD if they're believing their message and living it. You have to think, brothers and sisters. You have to think. You have to think for yourselves. I'm just the mailman. I'm just trying to give you something to think about. Whether you pay the bill or not, don't help it. I'm just delivering the mail to you. It's starting to rain here, so I'm not sure how easily you can hear me. We're gonna have to cut it short again because I'm getting close to my destination. So brothers and sisters, keep us in prayer. Tonight, at 7:30, I'm beginning a series of talks called, pardon me, Revelation in Review, where we're going to be talking about and reviewing the major keys in the various chapters of Revelation. It's not an exhaustive look, but we're going to actually look at the keys to understanding the book of Revelation and the various chapters therein, chapter by chapter as we study through. We're studying chapter 1 tonight, chapter 2 and 3 for Sabbath morning, and every week we'll go chapter by chapter going through and study. You don't want to miss that. That's going to be a wonderful study, and it's what we need at this time. It's the message of the hour. But please keep us in prayer. We're working behind the scenes, doing things. I actually have found a method. Actually, Google has a method by which you can download all your content off of YouTube. Everything. All your Google, everything. I just got a link to 107 50 gigabyte zip folders with my YouTube videos there. I have over 1,000 public videos. I think 1,500 altogether, but about 1,000 are public. And YouTube was so kind to download them in zip files, truncated zip files, and it took 107 50 gigabyte folders to send it to me. And you know that I'm going to take those folders and place that content where I was about to say where moth or rust cannot enter in, but I can't say that. But nevertheless, it will be more safe as we go to the end of time, where I will have greater control over my content, control actually, and I will be able to reach you. You'll be able to reach me. We'll be able to contact, talk, conversate, and share the message more adequately because of this new technology. So please keep that in prayer. Again, we have to make a part 3 because this is coming to an end. I have to come through a lot of traffic here. But may God bless you. Think about what we talked about. And we're going to actually talk a little bit more about how to do some practical things to get yourself in position, even to get your media off and even get on a better footing where you control your future, your media, your family won't perish if you die. You have control over the work God's given you in your hands, and also the finances God's given you to help finish the work. God bless you. Look for 7:30 tonight, our message, and 9:30 in the morning tomorrow. God bless. Maranatha.